going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing. Where do you come from? Where are you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where are you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep them flowing.
Jesse's at some point, Jesse's Divide, Rob's band, and see if they'll do me something completely copyright free.
Oh, yeah.
I
keep using the stinger you gave me, but I have this idea for a stinger in my head where I'm just like there with like a lightsaber and it's blue and I turn it to red. But at the same time, I'm going Super Saiyan. Like just all this stuff on top of each other, I think would be really cool. But what's going on? This is
cool.
This is Super PlayStation Bros. We're coming at you. Just chilling with Dorgon here, like we do every week, talking PlayStation gaming. We're bringing you the news for PlayStation that comes first, and today is no different. First, I want to start off by asking Dorgon, how are you, and what you've been gaming on this week, while I make sure your levels are correct, sir.
Technical start to the show, yes. I'm very well, actually. I've had a wonderful week between last show and this show. Just nice things happening, good start dates. I've got a good amount of time on the PlayStation for the first time in a while, which is wonderful. And I started Forspoken. I've put about 5 or 6 hours into a game that I know you absolutely adored from 2023. And yeah, I've got my gripes with it, but I'm enjoying my time with it as well, so I'm continuing to play that one. Picked it up dirt cheap start of the year, or maybe even tail end of last year that I picked it up dirt cheap. And just getting around to playing it now and having a great time with that one. I think I put a little bit of time into Destiny 2 as well, trying to get the Act 2 sorted before Act 3 launched this week. And I've still been playing that mobile one for a review that I've got to do in a few weeks. So, yeah, I need to get through that game as much and as quickly as possible. But it's been nice to have that break, head back to PlayStation and play some Forspoken. It's been a nice surprise, shall I say, especially after a lot of the words that were said around that particular game last year. But yourself, I assume you're on pretty much what we spoke about last week, which would be the Black Myth Wukong and not a lot else.
Yeah, it must have been the only thing I turned on other than, weekly I like to run Helldivers 2 on Monday evenings, and then on Wednesdays we get up to Fortnite with the family. So other than those two staples, it's been Black Myth Wukong, it's been boss rushes, taking my time, the lore, the story. I finished chapter 3 yesterday. And after each chapter, they show a cutscene, and the cutscenes are done in different art styles. And the stories are so foreign to me. I was just in awe of the last story. Just my jaw dropped, like insane. It's just a completely different mindset than I've ever grown up, and I've never heard a story with that type of ending. So it's like experiencing a snapshot into another culture, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying what's in front of me, and I'm having fun with the boss rush mechanics. Definitely a cool one.
Perfect. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
A game that's not just fun, it introduces you to new culture and new experiences. Like, that's what gaming's about. It's what art's about. I'm glad it's doing that for you. Really am.
Absolutely. And that's about it on the gaming front. I mean, next week I'll be looking forward to Astrobot as it'll be right around the corner. Hopefully they'll drop the last Astro before release date, because have we not got the last Astro as of yet? It should be at the turn of the month, I would suspect.
Every other one's been at the start of the month, so I would assume it would be over the course of this weekend / Monday, Tuesday next week, just before launch, so it keeps that hype revved right up. So yeah, I'm hoping for that one at the beginning of next week, and maybe I'll just throw another quick video together and get a casual 25,000 views off it. Yeah.
That was a big one. But let's talk about what's going on in PlayStation gaming news this week. Keeping everyone up to date on what's going on the Team Sony. We have Japan is hit with another PS5 price increase. So this is actually number 3 when it comes to price increases in Japan. I guess when I've never heard of this model before, where your product actually goes up over time. I think it's incredibly bold. And if they're still selling gangbusters, I mean, it's crazy to see that amount of success there, that they're able to boldly increase the prices. But what do you think the driving forces is for this?
Probably greed, if we're being honest. It's an unfortunate thing we've seen with PlayStation more recently. An unfortunate thing we've seen with the gaming industry in, say, the past 5-10 years is that money has spoken louder than everything else. Now, don't get me wrong, we're in a very weird space where the art needs money to be made, and you need to then sell that art for money to make more art. So you're in a bit of a weird situation where it's part commercial, part artistic. But the commercial side of things has been taking over again and again and again. And Sony are a mega corporation. Let's not forget about that. Let's not say that they're just small fry, they're the underdog and all that sort of stuff. They're still talking about $100 billion in value at the moment. So it's greed. Most of these companies want to see booming profits, record profits year on year, and PlayStation have been seeing that. Sony have been seeing that. In fact, PlayStation have been propping up Sony for maybe 2 decades because of their revenue share coming in and the profits that they've been making. But PlayStation is now more expensive to run because they're making games that are costing $200-300 million a time, and they're selling them for $70, and not as many people are buying them because those games are more expensive. So to get those record profits, they've got to look where people are willing to spend, and people are still trying to get hold of the PlayStation 5. It's still selling incredibly well worldwide, really, really well in Japan, and they feel that they can make more profit that way. And they're going to throw excuses out there like, the supply chain is problematic. We've got all of these price rises in fuel and gas and superconductors because of the war in Ukraine and all this sort of stuff. The same crap that we've been fed by every corporation on the planet, who then go on to record like $750 billion in profits. It's just greed. And it saddens me that Japan are now spending the equivalent of £620 per PlayStation 5 console. To put that in perspective, here in the UK currently, the PlayStation 5 costs you £479, which is still £29 more than it cost when it launched. We got a £50 uprise in 2022, and then it's dropped a little bit since that point to the $479 mark, and that's where it's sort of sat since. But Japan are now at the equivalent of £620 for a PlayStation 5. And at that price, you're then starting to question whether it is actually worth it, because you can get a lot of these PC handhelds that can do the same and more as a PlayStation with a wider library for less money at that point. So yeah, for me, I think it's greed causing it more than anything else, and it absolutely saddens me that Japan, the home of PlayStation, has been royally screwed over by PlayStation themselves. It properly saddens me, and The unfortunate thing was when I saw the news, my immediate response was, I'm not surprised, which kind of gives us a view of the gaming world that we're in right now.
Well, another reason why I think could be hit for the increase is because all the consoles are leaving and going to their next door neighbors due to a most recent console moving game that was released. We see here that Black Myth Wukong prompts PS5 sales explosion. That's right, explosion. Now you can't necessarily buy PlayStation 5s in China when I was doing the research for this. And what they have to do is they have to go through this workaround. And it's mentioned in the article, a retailer called Taobao, or where was it again? Taobao's. So on that retailer, they actually saw PS5s double in the weeks leading to Black Myth Wukong in terms of sales. So we believe that, or the article is stating that people from China were just scooping up PlayStation 5s at an incredible rate to be able to play Black Myth Wukong on perhaps something more affordable than a high-end PC for their gaming experience. And haptics, let's go. But crazy to see.
Surely such a situation would lower the price, though. If you are selling more of this item, right, they're flying off the shelves quicker than ever before, other than when they first released with massive supply chain issues. Surely that means the price doesn't need to rise because more money's coming in, more and more and more and more money. And the reason they're going on to Taobao is because there aren't that many PlayStations in China because it's not a market that's had games that have appealed to them previously. They've got rules on gaming in China where you can get like an hour a day if you're under the age of 18. I think it might be down to like an hour every Wednesday and Saturday. If you're under the age of 18, that's all you're allowed to play. So they spend that time playing mobile titles where they can actually get some progression because of government rules and regulations. So it's going to be adults going for the PlayStation 5s for Black Myth. And like you say, it's a much more affordable gateway into things than building a $4,000 PC that can run it at, actual stable frame rates and visible pixels. But surely, if you're selling more consoles than you have previously, and people are going to neighboring economies to get them because there aren't enough in their own economy, that would lower the price. And it just brings us back to that whole surely it's just greed situation.
Or maybe they're running out of consoles and they need people to stop buying them because they can't keep making them this fast. Who knows
That's
which
a
way,
problem,
but
not a
either
consumer
way,
problem.
they're making money, and that money is going to go into the pockets of obviously executives. But what it's also going to do is it's going to bring more great titles. It's going to allow them to build better ecosystems for the gamers. So I'm happy to see it. I think and I think that it's to, Japan and China, I could see some sort of rivalry going between them. It's like, hey, you want this PlayStation to play your game? Guess what? It costs $50 more. I don't know. I'm sure Australia and New Zealand have the same head-to-head. I know Canada and the US have the same head-to-head. I definitely raise the price if Americans wanted it. That's just my thinking. Come on, isn't UK and like Scotland? What do you guys think about or Ireland?
Scotland's part of the UK.
Yeah, I'm not
So
great
is
at
Northern
geography.
Ireland. It's not really a
I should have said
situation.
nothing.
My major concern here is there's been 3 price rises in Japan in 3 years. So the first year went by and it cost the same. And then year 2, year 3, and year 4 of the PlayStation 5 have seen price rises in Japan. The second year of price rises saw a price rise for everyone else as well. If we're seeing yet another price rise in Japan, I would expect to see that worldwide in short time. This isn't something that we can let slide easily. And it's all right for people like yourself and myself who've already got a PlayStation 5 at home, who've got it for like launch prices. But there's people wanting to get into the ecosystem, wanting to get back into the ecosystem. There's games coming to it that run better on the PlayStation 5, or it's just an easier experience and it still has a similar library to what you want. And if that's costing $100 more, £100 more than at launch, it's going to make people hesitate. And do they go elsewhere? Do they go and buy that Xbox instead? Or do they just wait for Nintendo to do what's next? Or, as I said earlier, do they turn around and think, well, I can get these games eventually on PC anyway? Do I just get a PC handheld for less money than the console? It's something we need to be aware of and careful of saying is a good thing. I don't think price rises on consoles within their lifespan is a good thing at all. It should be cheaper now than it was at launch so that we can get more people into the ecosystem, so that more games can be sold. But they're not bringing enough games to make that a viable business model, so they keep jacking the prices of the console, and eventually that's going to lead to a breaking point for the customer. And I think we're closing on that pretty darn quick.
Well, when you run out of customers somewhere, you go somewhere else. And that's why Sony is expanding its global game division support initiative with MENA Hero Project. So similar to what they did with the China Hero Project, they are moving on to the rest of the world, including countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait. All these countries here in this article mentioned. I'm not going to list them all, but what I think this is a brilliant move, because you are going to cultivate a love for PlayStation in these countries if you have these stories being told and presented on this platform. And similar to Black Myth Wukong, you're going to move consoles by doing this. I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea, and I look forward to seeing more stories that wow me and make me think about my perspective on things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for news stories. As you've said, Black Myth Wukong has brought new people in. It's given folks like yourself a visibility of a story you wouldn't get to be visible of otherwise, or you wouldn't even consider or think of. So bringing more Middle Eastern and Asian stories to the fore will be absolutely fantastic. There are some incredibly talented artists, developers, and the like in that region of the world who just don't get the time of day and the airtime that they probably should. I am in a little bit of two minds about it, just from investing in places like the UAE, like Iraq, like Saudi Arabia and co, who have a terrible human rights record. I would hope that there would be stringent rules in place that if you're taking funding from Sony, there are rules and regs to how you deal with your members of staff, what you can give them, what you can't give them, what you can take from them, what you can't take from them. I would need to see more on how it's being approached from the Sony side of things, the funding side of things, to give it the full seal of approval. But in terms of games coming out, in terms of stories and new regions getting representation in video gaming, it's a positive thing. It's just we do need to be a little careful about promoting the human rights violations of those regions.
I agree with Doragon wholeheartedly that the human rights need to be at the front of the debate at all times. But as a gamer, just give me the titles, give me the experiences, give me the games. Come on. Let's move on. We move on to something that Doragon's been alluding to with this Black Myth Wukong, and it's that Sony is paying attention to the handheld market after the PS Portal's shock success. Yes, shock success. I want you to rewind the tape, because Rudix called it. He said it's a damn sexy handheld from the very beginning. And guess what? Sex sells, and the PS Portal went like gangbusters. And Doragon has one and I don't. But
yeah, the guy who doesn't like it has one.
Yeah.
Carry on, as you were saying.
Yeah. We've talked about this previously, that Sony is allegedly keeping an eye on the handheld market, and they're looking to launch something similar to where they once were with the PS Vita. Obviously, the PS Portal has some limitations, that being it's only a gateway into your PlayStation 5 given internet stability as a factor. So what we would like to see, as the consumers are all yelling for, is essentially that handheld experience that is untethered. And
Yeah.
rumor mill is starting, and people are saying, oh, maybe it's going to drop next month on the State of Play, or who knows. But in my opinion, we won't see anything like this until next console generation. The PS Portal was this console generation. But that's my theory.
Depends how they do it. If you look at the handheld market recently, Switch is king, and Switch is this versatile hybrid console. And then you've got PC handhelds like the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, the Legion Go, the GPD Win 4, and so on and so forth. There's so many PC handheld consoles out there at the moment, all built on different platforms, all running games in different ways and viabilities. The GPD Win 4 is one of my favorite aesthetically because it is just a slightly bigger PlayStation Vita, just running Windows and such. I would love to see another PlayStation handheld. The PlayStation Portable was one of the best handhelds of its generation. It went toe-to-toe with the DS and held its own. Like, neither was better than the other. They both had excellent libraries. They both had excellent implementations of their hardware and their features. They were superb little consoles. I had a PS Portable whilst traveling the world. So Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, Germany, back to the UK. I used the PSP all the time. It was the only way that I got to game during that period, during those 3 or 4 years traveling. I would love to have something like that now that is PlayStation centric, but I've seen what they've done with the PlayStation Vita. They took this follow-up, this incredible bit of hardware, this incredible handheld device, and abandoned it less than 6 months after launch. And because there weren't so many people on it, you big AAA developers weren't releasing games for it. The reason the PlayStation Portable worked was because it had that software to back up the hardware. The Vita didn't get that software. PlayStation didn't put the monetary investment into it to bring developers on board, to have must-play exclusive games only for the Vita that would make people go out and buy one. And so people just didn't develop for it. Loads of indie developers developed for it. You've got some cracking experiences that are only on Vita, made by indie developers who were releasing games as recently as 2021 on PlayStation Vita. But we've then seen it with PSVR 2 as well, where they haven't put the software investment out there, and your third parties are what are propping that up. I love the PSVR 2. I think it's a fantastic headset, one of the best on the market, but it's not been supported by Sony and PlayStation in the software area. So if they are paying close attention to this handheld market to do a native gaming handheld, one, it needs to be its own thing. It needs to have its own identity. It can't just be a portable PS5. It can't just be a portable PS4 and just have those libraries on it. It needs to be its own thing with its own unique interactions, its own library. Yes, some crossover would be great. Having remote play built in would be great. If it had the ergonomics of the Portal, that would be great. But it needs to be its own thing. And the track record of Sony supporting something that brilliant and unique outside of the home consoles is pretty sketchy at best. And when you've got that track record, it's going to make people really wary of buying it. The reason the Portal has sold so well is because it's only $200. It's only £200 when you compare that to the cloud players like your phone with a controller attached. They're $250, so they cost more than just this PlayStation Portal. That being so cheap is why it's sold so well for people with a PlayStation 5 already. There's been mistaken purchases of it as well. But if you've got something that's running games at a similar fidelity to the PlayStation 4 or 5 in your hands, that's going to cost as much or more than the console. And if it then doesn't have the software support, it's going to be an utter failure. So whilst they're keeping their eye on it, they need to do it right, and they need to do it soon to take advantage of it. If they wait till the next console generation, it's going to be too late.
Well, there you go. Disagreeing opinions. Dorgon thinks the next console generation will be too late, and I think it'll be too soon. Only the future will tell, and chances are Dorgon's right. But I move on. Let's see what's coming up next month. There's lots of rumors because, it happens every year in September. So now's the time to start the rumbles. PlayStation's State of Play is likely coming in late September. I mean, we all knew this, right? But now that Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb, the man who has a last name that sounds like a bug, has claimed that PlayStation's State of Play will likely be released at the end of September. I mean, but everybody probably saw this coming. It's been a little while since we heard of PlayStation. Obviously, they've had little bits here and there. We know that they're going to be set up at the Tokyo Gamescom. But here is going to be another State of Play, probably under an hour, that's going to show a lot of things that get people excited for PlayStation.
Kind of disappointing he said State of Play, because there is a difference with Sony's like broadcasts. Similar to what Nintendo used to have. They had the Nintendo Direct and the Nintendo Treehouse. They were different sort of presentations to the public sort of thing. The State of Plays are your small ones. They're updates to existing titles. They are third-party developers, indie developers. They are looks at what's bolstering the PlayStation catalog. They're not where you get your big first-party announcements and releases. Every bit of rumor earlier in the year was that September was going to be the showcase. September was going to be this big blowout event where we saw what was coming for the second half of the PlayStation 5's lifespan, and it was meant to be like the second coming sort of thing. And if it's a State of Play, that's not going to happen unless we're getting a showcase type event from Tokyo Game Show. So they do a big presentation like we've just seen with Gamescom, but at the Tokyo Game Show. It's kind of disappointing that it's just a State of Play, that it's just little updates and partners rather than the big first-party stuff, because it's been far too quiet from PlayStation, and this was meant to be the time, according to all rumors earlier in the year, where everything was meant to explode. And it's just, the new rumors are saying that's not the case. As always, we have to take this with a pinch of salt. Jeff Grubb said we'd be getting something in March. It didn't come till May. So whilst he does have industry insiders that he talks to, and he does have a finger on the pulse, his interpretations are not at a professional level, should we say. It's not like a doctor reading into your arrhythmia or something when they're taking your pulse and they know how to treat you. It is sort of like an enthusiast doing it. And I hope he's wrong. I hope it is a showcase, because I don't think 2 years between showcases is a good cadence, Sony. But at the same time, I'll wait for official confirmation, just because he's been so off base previously this year.
Yeah, and I agree, because I think they have a lot to talk about. Yes, they have updates on some games that we know about. For instance, we could see Stellar Blade be brought up in the showcase as it's coming to PC. And we're hearing it's the near future, and they're actually expecting it to do better on PC than it did on PlayStation, and they were finding the PlayStation success to be there. So I could see that being at the State of Play. I could also see Metal Gear Solid perhaps being talked about, its remake. I mean, we've been hearing this game was coming in 2024 at first. Now it's moved to 2025. Honestly, I'm not sure why a remake takes so long. All you got to do is press the update button, and then boom, you have a remake. But yeah.
You did not just say those words.
Yeah. It's the easy button. You just hit remake button.
You know how you lean on this crutch of Unreal Engine 5 and it being a problem for the consoles, etc., etc. It's also a problem for developers. And this is being remade in Unreal Engine 5, not the old, I don't even remember what the original Metal Gear engine was called that was built on the PlayStation 1. There's a lot more updates for a game this many generations thereafter.
Wibbles
and also, it's been leaked for November. It should be coming November this year.
Really? Was there another leak in here? I think the article was saying 2025, but this is the perfect thing to see at the State of Play. Wouldn't you agree?
I think a release date would be prime. We've had that much coverage of Metal Gear Solid Delta at this point. I don't think we need to see any more. Everybody knows the game anyway, who's really excited for it, and they're getting newcomers excited for it. I don't think we need to see any more of it. Just give us the release date and let us pre-order. That's all they need to do in a State of Play, maybe with a quick 30-second trailer.
In addition, here's my other prediction for what we'll see at the State of Play. Even though we did see this early on, we could definitely see a release date as we do not have this. It was penciled in for 2024, so what better time to open up the pre-orders for Horizon Adventures on PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch.
Also apparently leaked this week by Sony themselves. Was it November the 11th or something like that? That's meant to be coming? November's starting to get stacked.
November 14th, yes, available on PlayStation 4. And thank you, Crow. The Fox engine was the proprietary game engine by Konami.
It was Kojima's engine only used for Ground Zeroes and Metal Gear Solid 5 and what they've done thereafter, which isn't a lot. Prior to that, I don't remember the name of the engine, but it wasn't Fox until Ground Zeroes.
And I did not follow. I played the original Metal Gears, like 1, 2, 3, and then fell off.
Tut, tut.
But, I mean, the first 3 are the best, right?
No.
Yeah,
4
you're
and
right.
5 are incredible.
If you get Kiefer Sutherland in anything, it's going to be awesome.
And it makes sense as well. That there's a narrative reason that it switched from David Hayter to Kiefer Sutherland, and
Right.
it belayed all the anger and such. It's such
You got to go Canadian.
Made series. And no, you do not have to go Canadian. Canadian doesn't automatically make everything better.
Well, I want to see the next rumor I have for the State of Play showcase here. And this rumor, I swear to you, now that we've covered PlayStation for a bit, I am constantly seeing this one game be talked about as it's coming, finally, and I'm just shocked to see another. Why even waste the time writing this article? So, a new Bloodborne PS5 rumor. How many times have you heard this rumor? Like, people need to give up Bloodborne being remade for PlayStation 5. I mean, yes, they made Last of Us Part 2 again. I don't understand it. Make Bloodborne, it came out in 2013, but they are just not doing it, and people keep yelling, making articles, people are clicking on it. I don't know. It's a good game for sure.
It's a great game, and if you write an article about Bloodborne, you get clicks, which means you get ad revenue. If you make a video about Bloodborne, you get clicks, which means you get ad revenue, and so on and so forth. It's it's one of those. It's so rumored. If it happens, I won't be surprised. If it doesn't happen, I won't be surprised. That is the situation the Bloodborne community has put us in at this point in time, where we've stopped caring.
I think we were just asking what was the older engine, because obviously they are taking from the old engine and then translating that into Unreal 5. I think that's the point we were trying to get at there, Crow.
It was, and you'll see engines used for an exponentially long period of time. The Decima engine that a lot of the PlayStation studios use, and is what was used for Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2, that was built in 2013. It wasn't used in Killzone Shadowfall, that was one of the launch titles for the PlayStation 4. It was used in Horizon Zero Dawn. That was the first release on the Decima engine. But that engine was created, made, and has been in circulation since 2013. There's a lot of studios that now utilize it. You're talking about the Fox engine from 2014 that got its first release in 2015, and so on and so forth. that is still a relevant engine even now. What Kojima did with that in its first release doesn't necessarily maximize what it's capable of doing. And Konami could have quite happily and easily utilized that. Most of the team that are working on Delta are from the old Metal Gear Solid team. They still work at Konami. They have the experience of working on that engine. But for some reason, the decision was made to go with Unreal Engine 5 to see how far they could push it, I suppose. And this new game's coming on that one rather than their proprietary Fox engine. So, yeah, engines last a long time. Ubisoft is still using the Anvil engine, the basis for which was built in 2000. So, gives you an idea of how long these engines can go for and how they can be tweaked and have add-ons given to them and all this sort of stuff. So, just because it's from 10 years ago plus doesn't mean it's not relevant. Helldivers 2 is on an engine that has had no support for 6 years, and that released this year. So just because it's on a certain engine doesn't mean it's going to be a good or a bad game. It just means that's the platform they've decided to build upon.
Oh, Helldivers. I hope you continue forward in all your success. The game's still doing well. But we're going to continue on giving you our faux state of play here, because I got a couple more things we're definitely going to see. A forgotten PS Plus shooter, Foam Stars, goes free to play in October. This is definitely something we could see coming out of the state of play. Foam Stars now free to play. Hey, remember this game? Come back and play it. I thought it was fun. I played it for a couple days when we got it on PS Plus. Unfortunately, it didn't have the legs to carry on or transition anyone from Splatoon over. But that's just how it is. You swing and you miss sometimes. But hopefully making it free to play will bring more people in.
I think fingers crossed, yeah. It probably needs more platforms as well because it's only PlayStation and PC currently. I think it's just there's no demographic for it. That's the biggest problem. Like you say, I've played a few games of it because we got it inclusive. It's fun enough, but it's not something that's going to grip me and keep me coming back and playing more. I know people will say this is the way Concord will eventually end up going. It'll be free to play in about 8 months or something. And you might be right, but at least with Concord, there's fun gameplay loops. There's fun competitiveness. I've enjoyed all of my time with that game, whereas Foam Stars, I got very bored very quickly. It was very, at best, paint by numbers, at worst, copy paste of Foam Stars, not Foam Stars, Splatoon. And they didn't do anything brilliantly unique or different. It's great to have more games within a certain genre. I think that's a fantastic idea to bring competition to that genre. But Splatoon did something different with the shooter, made it more family friendly, and it gave you more game modes because you were trying to paint an area red, orange, blue, whatever color you were at the time. But Foam Stars, just for me, and I think basically everybody else who played it, missed the mark. So even going free to play, unless it's having a massive overhaul and becoming a lot more engaging, it's not going to make too much difference to the game because most PlayStation players have PlayStation Plus Essential, which is what it was on, and they're still not playing the title. So, plus you'll need PlayStation Plus to play it online anyway, so making it free to play for people who don't have PS Plus, I think they're targeting the PC crowd a little bit here, and it might have a surge of players for a week, but then I think it'll fall back off, unfortunately, because there's just not, like you say, there's no legs to it, there's no longevity. And sometimes that's absolutely fine, but when you've made a game that's meant to be multiplayer only, you kind of need people in it playing it for it to actually be fun.
That is true. All the best to you, Concord. I see you wibble there in the chat. Now, I don't think they're exactly similar. Concord still has a chance. All right. Still come out of this. But let's move on. We have a update from the last episode. We told you that there was a leak that on November 22nd, the game would be released for Marvel vs. Capcom Collection. That's now being updated. We have a release of September 12th for the digital and November 22nd for the physical. And so I could definitely seeing this being advertised at the State of Play. Obviously, I'm looking forward to this one. A part of the collection, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes. I remember playing that as a kid. And absolutely so much fun. All your favorite superheroes, combat against each other. I think you can pick up to 3 heroes and just fight all the combos. Just that madness, fighting pinnacle fun of. I loved it. I loved it. I'm looking forward to it.
I will see you in November when the physical launches.
Haha.
Why? This is Capcom. This is one of the biggest publishers on the planet. Why have we got a delay between digital and physical? You've got the money to make it happen at the same time. Come on, guys.
I know. It's almost like they are trying to push more people into digital, right?
Well, yeah, they can rip you off more easily digitally.
Right. It's a hard ask to make somebody who's looking forward to this game wait more than a month for the title, right? So it's definitely a move on their behalf. We'll see how it works out, or perhaps people will buy 2 copies. Maybe that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, fair play. It is possible, definitely.
But definitely one to check out. Now, our next one I wanted to get to because it is in the title of the show. And Dorgon, I would like you to try to cover this. Let's explain to all of the PlayStation people out there what is going on with the stars point system, because stuff is changing out there, and people should know what's up.
Indeed, yes. So within the last week, most of us have received an email from PlayStation about changes coming to PlayStation Stars, which is the PlayStation Rewards program. You got it about a week after I did. I thought these things went out all at the same time, but obviously it takes about a week to cross the Atlantic, even though it's electronic mail and we're talking across the Atlantic now, sort of thing. Essentially, they are diminishing your ability to earn rewards points and spend rewards points. So since its inception, PlayStation Stars has given you 2 years to spend any of the PlayStation Stars coins that you earn. You earn stars through certain challenges that you can do in-game, from playing certain games that are included in your PlayStation Plus catalog, whether that's essential or extra and premium. There's different rewards for all of them. You get rewards for checking in every month. You get rewards for purchasing games, essentially like a sort of money-back guarantee almost, that you buy a game and you get a few pennies back. You can use these coins that you earn in the rewards program and redeem them for additional full games. You can redeem them for store credit that you can spend on anything you so fancy. You can redeem them for certain trophies that you put in your digital trophy cabinet, which is displayed upon your PlayStation profile. Previously, you had 2 years from earning these points to earn these points. And they are halving that time. So you're going to have 12 months to use the points. The one positive to come from that is they are now telling you when you have got points that are due to expire within the app so that you can spend them, whether that's on store credit or on redeemable games or any of the trophies that are there, that sort of thing. But they are halving the amount of time that you've got to spend said coins, and they are removing any rewards for PlayStation Plus subscriptions. So whether you pay for PlayStation Plus monthly or annually, and whether you're on Essential, Extra, or Premium, you will no longer get PlayStation Stars rewards from those transactions. It is, to my eyes, a bit of a kick in the teeth in one vein, because they've offered you something from the start of this program, and now they're taking that away or diminishing how often or how long you can use it for or save up for, which is trying to force people to buy more things, I think, so that they earn more coins so that they can get more rewards. Very underhanded, dark practices, that one. And the other side of it is, I've survived near 30 years without PlayStation Stars. I've only had it for a couple of years. It's not that big of an impact to my PlayStation experience over time, but you don't go and give people something for free and then rein that back and take it away a couple of years down the line. So yeah, some underhanded dark practices, but at least they now tell you in the PlayStation app directly when your points are expiring. So there's one positive for the 4 or 5 negatives that have come out of this one.
My advice would be if your points are running out and you're not sure what to spend it on, just spend it on the credit, right? Spend it on the options they have. I believe it's 10, 15 bucks or 25 bucks in PlayStation dollars. Just put that on your account, save it for a rainy day if your points are going to expire. Otherwise, all existing points have up to 2 years now, right? And any new points now have 1 year.
Yeah, so anything earned after basically when the email was received, like 1st of August or something, they're only available for a year. Now, any points you earned prior to that point, they still have their 24-month expiry date on it.
Nice.
But you do need to keep an eye on what's expiring and start spending those points so that you don't lose the rewards. And as Rudix has quite rightly said, if you don't know what else to spend it on, buy yourself some store credit. You can get, here in the UK, it's a £5 voucher and a £20 voucher. Just buy those, stick them on your account, and you can use it for DLC in-game purchases or a full game at some point. I've nearly got enough on my account to purchase Concord outright. That's how I'm getting Concord through PS Stars rewards.
That's how I got Armored Core 6 last year. I just used all my points. I just picked it up. Boom, boom, boom. Definitely the way to do it. Yeah, like we said, nothing's changed for your existing points. It's just for your new points after October 24th, 2024. So that's what it is. Just letting everybody know. Next we have DualSense Edge fully customizable on PC with new app. Ooh, so one of my pride and joys, piece de resistance of the PlayStation is the DualSense Edge. It's absolutely a beautiful. Oh, this is whether it's worth it or not. It is worth it. All right, the back paddles are awesome. Having DualSense, having that haptic feedback is awesome. Having the weight of the controller heavy like that, I'm a big fan of it. But here we have the PC app. I actually went and downloaded it the other day, and I'm gonna go through it with connecting my controller. But this is great to see because for a long time I always worried about not getting the. I want to bring it up full screen, but I can't right now. I've been worried about not getting the haptics on my PC games when using a DualSense Edge, and now I don't have to worry about that. So I think it's pretty cool. And I can make adjustments, fine-tune my controller, which I've been meaning to do. And Xbox has always had this kind of platform to be able to customize your controller in. And they're just really taking it outside of the PlayStation and putting it onto the PC for PC gamers who are looking for their PlayStation premium experience in their hands when they're playing games.
I mean, you could get the premium experience from the Xbox side. You could get the premium experience from the third-party side. There's some amazing PC controllers out there, especially from companies like 8-Bit Do and Co. That they make phenomenal controllers, some of the best feeling on the market. But if you've already got a DualSense Edge that you pair with your PlayStation and you want to use it on your PC, it is a bit more difficult to do, and especially with like the back flappy paddles, they're not easily usable currently. You have to use a load of third-party aftermarket apps to try and get it working. So to have an official PlayStation 1, it just makes life easier, simpler, more streamlined, which is always a good thing for the consumer. It might increase sales of the PlayStation's Edge controller. I know Wibble is looking at getting an Edge controller for use with his PC. Just over the one, he wants the haptics, as you said, which you don't get with the likes of the Xbox Elite controller, which is a Windows-centric controller anyhow. This app should also give you the proper face buttons, I believe, from what I've been reading. It'll give you the X, square, triangle, circle face buttons rather than A, B, C, D. That's not the buttons on the other side, is it? It's A, B, X, Y. We'll give you the resistive triggers and all that sort of stuff. So having just an official app, it just makes life easier. It's the same as having the official app for using the PlayStation VR 2 on PC. Makes it so much easier than having all of these third-party hacked apps, essentially. So yeah, it's a good thing to see. It's nice to see them opening up. These controllers have always worked on PC. They just haven't had their full suite of feedback and availability available, and now they will. So yeah, as long as you don't keep going breaking buttons on your DualSense Edge, you should be able to use it with both your PC and your PlayStation.
Yeah, I had to replace my L1. I'm still playing Black Myth Wukong on this controller, so it's not like it's busted, but just needed to replace the button. And of course, I've been using this thing daily since launch, so it's definitely got its use out of it. I would 100% recommend it, but like Doragon says, there's plenty of aftermarket ones if you want to check out. You know, Scuff has got a good, more cost affordable one, but with more back buttons. But to be honest, I love the back triggers. I think these are much better than the flat buttons. Personal preference a lot of the way, but I look forward to being able to play now with the app, because before you had to activate the Bluetooth, and the Bluetooth would sometimes just cut out randomly, and I'd be like, what the hell? I'm trying to play a game with my DualSense Edge on my computer, and it's not great. So hopefully this bridges that gap and makes it a better experience.
I just want that controller because, like I say, you've got the flappy paddles on the back rather than flat buttons. And for driving games, gear changes just with flappy paddles is so much easier than trying to like accelerate with your middle finger and then change gear with your index finger. Like you've got much more fine motor control with your index finger on an accelerator. So being able to just change gear with flappy paddles like you get in an actual race car would be so nice. It's a £210 controller. It's a lot of money for like 5 racing games that I play.
Yeah, I love the back paddles, love the premium experience. I play a lot of Souls games, so I love having the buttons on the back. 100%, it's what it is. It's more than the Portal, so it's funny. The decisions you make are the accessories you like, right?
No.
No. All right, well, let's keep kicking on through the news today. We got one of my favorites I wanted to talk about here. Lies of P sequel jumping straight to Elden Ring. So NeoWiz seeks to open up the world for an Elden Ring-like experience. So that's right. At the end of Lies of P, spoiler alert, the game's pretty old, so get over it. You see Dorothy.
A year old. It's not that old.
Yeah, I don't care. What do you mean? People know this, all right? We were looking forward.
People get 9 hours a week to play on average.
Lies of P came out last year.
They're only just finishing Assassin's Creed Valhalla from 2020. It's that big.
At
they
the
haven't
end
got to Lies of P yet. They'll get
at
to
the
that
end
in
of Lies.
2030.
At the end of Lies of P, there's a send it on to another story that they're gonna continue on to. But we have here what I was expecting, which was supposed to be free DLC, which they talked about in the months after their game launch. But now I'm hearing that instead we're getting a brand new game, open world experience, probably along the same vein. They're making the jump to Unreal Engine 5, so watch out, consoles. And there you have it. There is some moves making on, and the Lies of P franchise is expanding, and I wish the best for them. Hopefully they're able to really tackle this open world beast, and I still hope for the DLC that I thought we were promised coming out in 2024. And fine, Oregon, no spoilers, even though I may have given a spoiler. My bad.
I don't like being spoiled on things, and I will come to stuff after the fact. I'm currently reading the Witcher novels, which the oldest one, I believe, is 20 plus years old, maybe even older than that. Thankfully, I've not had them spoiled, not even by the show, because the show goes completely doolally tap partway through season 1. So I haven't had those stories spoiled for me, and I'm enjoying reading them and getting those stories firsthand. I'm enjoying playing Forspoken and getting that story and experience firsthand. I wouldn't want these experiences spoiled for me, even though they're over a year old, over 2 weeks old. I didn't want Deadpool Wolverine spoiled for me, so it's why I tried to see it so quickly, because people start talking about it and posting about it all over the internet so quickly. I want other people to have the same sort of experience with these titles as I have. I will rave that it's great, it's fun, and if they want a little bit more, I'll give them a little bit more, but generally I try not to spoil things for people, no matter how old a piece of media is, just because I hate it happening to me. And I want to experience these things.
Well, Google says the official rule is 3 to 5 days. So
Google's a moron. Google is trained by us, the population of Earth, and that generally, as a human race, we're stupid. Google has got dumber over the last 20 years because of the stuff we've put into it.
Google's a reflection of us.
Yeah.
Like you said. So
Not
3 to
smart.
5 days or never spoilers. Either or. You get a mixed bag with us. But lastly, let's end on something a little bit fun here. Nintendo PlayStation controller, alluding to my prediction, the Sony Switch. That's right. Is coming back in the news. It's an artifact, essentially, of a relationship that once was. And I think this is just, seeding what we all know is coming, and that's the Nintendo PlayStation. The next handheld, the Switch 2, the new alliance of the West. Wait, no, they're on the East. Yes, they're on the East. Of video game-ness. Rebuttal.
Sony and Nintendo fell out so badly, it's taken them over 40 years to even talk to one another again. I don't think we're getting a new joint console from them. We might see more crossover between them. There might be more games going from PlayStation to Nintendo and Nintendo to PlayStation. Seriously doubt it, or it might be some very select options, but no, I think this is beyond tinfoil hat territory. This is someone who has gone so deep down the dark web rabbit hole that they no longer know what's real. But this thing, it's, like I say, it's a relic of a time that once was. It sold for, I want to say $35,000 if I'm remembering correctly. And it just looks like a Nintendo Entertainment System controller. It just has the Sony and PlayStation branding upon it. It's wild that is what was just going to happen. To think that we then got the sort of boomerang-shaped DualShock controller during the PlayStation 1 era. I've still got those OG ones without any of the sticks on them, where you had to run around on just a D-pad. I was very good on a D-pad for a long while because I didn't have analog sticks. And it took me a long time into the PlayStation 2 era to actually get comfortable using them. But seeing what it could have been even before that is crazy. In a lot of ways, I'm glad that the partnership fell down because we got more ergonomic controllers. Again, maybe not from Nintendo. They brought us a 3-pronged thing. They brought us some wireless stuff.
Whoa.
Broke your
Nintendo
TV with and what have
64
you.
controller was what I grew up on.
I have 2 hands. I only have 2 hands, not 3. Why are there 3 prongs to hold on to and switch between?
It's Switch Play. It's Switch Play. You can
It's silly, is what it is.
It's so you can play co-op. Couch co-op. Somebody else is grabbing one. You got 3 people in on one controller.
Well, whatever, yeah. So,
See, the thing is, you're holding it wrong. You actually had to hold it upside down. That's how it worked.
That might have worked better, yeah, now you're saying that. That might have actually worked better. But, yeah, Nintendo went off the rails regularly with controllers. Like, the Wii controllers. Like, one analog stick and then, yep, I'm trying to turn a corner. Let me just point this way. Crazy controls on some games. Absolutely wild. But relic of a bygone era, what could have been? I can understand why someone really wants that in a collection, especially if they've actually got the prototype console as well, which went for a couple of million last year, I want to say, which would not surprise me if this went there as well.
Well, there you have it. Well, maybe things are back together. We did hear about that Zelda movie Sony is producing, so
There's a Horizon game launching on Switch, as you say.
Yeah, so I still tip my hat to the Sony Switch. I think it's coming around the corner. But that's our show for today. That is the Super PlayStation Bros. Dorgon, what do you got going on your channel? Of course, you can catch up with us offline in the Discord in the link below. And both of our channels are linked in the description. So be sure to come by and say hi. But Dorgon, give yourself a shout out.
I'm currently working on a new video that I'm hoping to have out to channel members before the end of the week. It'll go to everybody else a little bit later. Channel members just get that priority access for being those wonderful additional supporters. It's going to be based around a cloud gaming service. I know people have been asking for that in my comments, so feel free to pop on by for that one if you do so fancy. And if you do want to support and get it earlier through channel membership, I would be most grateful. But yeah, that should be out before the end of the week for channel members. Do you, my friend, because it's been a running theme thus far this year, have a family game night on Fortnite tonight, or will we see you with more Wukong? Because I know those teenagers are off gallivanting, aren't they?
Yeah, it's always a flip of the coin to see whether or not they're going to be able to get into the Fortnite tonight or whether they're busy with their lives. So we'll have to stay tuned, but definitely either I'll be playing some Wukong or you'll see some family game night tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Rudix channel, and then back for the download on Friday. You can catch us in the morning with all of the conversational stuff that happens on the download. That's a thing that happens on Fridays, so don't miss that. It's a lot of fun. We banter back and forth, and sometimes there's a good idea in there.
It's rare, but it's worth fishing out, yeah.
Well, until next week, we'll be back, and we are the Super PlayStation Bros, eating mushrooms, hitting fireflies. I don't know what I was saying there, but stay tuned. Next week, see you there.
See you guys. Take care. Bye.
Try to believe in me. Why try do I even need to? I die with the season leaves. I glide with the season breeze. True, my mind so easily spooked. I ride just to be the me. Oh, finds hype super decently smooth. Nice type but as sick as beats.